Hey, welcome back to Build Your Legacy Insurance Edition podcast.
Welcome back. Good to see you.
Yeah. Travis, glad you're back in here. Glad I'm back in here.
Yeah. We're here, right?
Let's talk about something that we touched on previously, and that's just regarding AccessPlus.
Yeah.
You know, AccessPlus for us is unique.
It's different.
It is something different that anybody else that's like us, whether it's an aggregator, a cluster, they don't have AccessPlus.
Yes.
They may call it something different.
Right.
But it's not AccessPlus, so it's worth the
I was
conversation.
gonna say, it's not AccessPlus. I think it's something that makes us unique. I think it's something that brings a lot of value to our partners and really helps them accomplish that end goal of getting direct contracts with carriers, right? So, you know, the way I explain it to people, because I mean it's always, hey, what is AccessPlus? Well, you know, it's an agency incubator. At the end of the day, it's simple terms. That's what it is. You would probably compare it to a placement facility you'd see in a really larger agency, but it's really there to help you as a member test companies for competitiveness, you know, figure out who they are, the dynamics of working with them, if they're a good fit for your agency, while sort of showing that company what you're capable of doing and that you're writing the business that they want to target.
Yeah, so I think it's, you know, from a simplistic term as well, to when we first start talking to people, we kind of use the word our wholesale arm because it is where the agent has to come through us.
Correct.
To get to the company, the insurance company. So that's a simple way to say it at first, to at least get their mind right in the conversation. And I'm like you, I use it's a test drive.
Right.
In a lot of cases, you don't have to buy anything yet. You don't have to do it. It's a test drive.
Yeah, I mean, it's you're putting that story on paper. You're showing that company what you're capable of doing, and kind of letting them know who you are, right? As an individual producer, as an agency, what your value proposition is, and you're really developing a relationship from scratch with them. And you're right, it's a wholesale arm, and I know we talk about ownership a lot of times, and you are coming through us during this time frame, but it's all about putting you in that best position possible with that company. That's the goal with AccessPlus.
Yeah. So Travis, you talked about putting yourself with the best light possible with the carriers, and I couldn't agree more. I think that's why we have our agency growth coach. We have our AccessPlus team there to do that, and you know, we talked about the carriers helping to build this with us. You know, we need to do what they want, what they like. You know, there's some things there that are different.
It is, right? And I think it varies by carrier. You know, I think we all look at what a carrier wants to write and where they're targeting and where they're looking to grow. And so as we're looking for these direct relationships, part of telling that story is kind of checking those boxes. And those boxes can be as simple as, you know, calling on the right risk or the limits you're offering your clients. And that varies, right, by carrier, but it could be those simple things that we want to make sure we're there to let you know what they want so that when it comes time to a point, that's not a barrier.
Right. We want to make sure that we're telling the right story on that agent's behalf. And when we go to the carrier to say, hey, here are the 20 pieces of business that this person's written, and they pull it, they see it fits exactly what they want to write. So it puts them in a better position to get a code.
To the story point, right? You know, hey, not every story is the same. So for each carrier, you're going to tell a little different variation of stories. And we want to make sure we're there to guide you on, I'd say, the outline of it.
As we record this, we're in a hard market.
Yep.
You know, maybe the next time somebody listens to it, we're in a soft market. And so,
fingers crossed.
Yeah. So I do think it changes. And AccessPlus becomes a little more important of a role to help build codes in a hard market because a lot of carriers aren't looking to just go jump and give direct codes.
Agree. I mean, I would say one of the examples I use is those carrier reps, especially in a hard market, they only have so many arrows in the quiver when it comes to new appointments. So naturally, who are they going to appoint? Somebody that doesn't build or hasn't built a relationship with them, is just kind of promising things, or someone that has shown them over a 90-day, 6-month time frame, this is my value proposition, this is what I'm writing, this is what my funnel looks like, because that rep's going, hey, if I'm going to use an arrow, I want it to be, worthwhile, the juice be worth the squeeze, so to speak.
And I think you brought up a good point there that it's key to say is when this was built, it probably was built in the 1980s, but when AccessPlus was built and as it continues to evolve, it is built with the carriers in mind as well, and with their support, with their direction. So yeah, we administer it, we do everything, so to speak, but the guidelines that are there and the reasoning behind it is built because the carriers are telling us what they want and what they need at that specific time.
Exactly. I mean, you got to think of it this way, right? We're all relying on each other for success. So if we go out and partner with somebody and ask a carrier to make an exception and reduce production requirements and all the great things that they do for our members, and we ask them to do that, but we bring them somebody that's not going to write business with them, that doesn't do anybody any good. So, Access Plus is that short little stint there where you can show, like, you can test, you can figure out who's a fit. And, the thing is you might want a certain company today, but once you learn about them, they might not be a fit for you. You might not like them. They might not be what you thought they were.
Yeah.
And I don't mean that as a deterrent.
Well, I think you look at it as, if we focus on personal lines for a little bit, they may be great across the train track. They may be great in North Carolina across I-95, and then you come this way, it's different. Yeah. So it could be different zip code. It could be a different county. You could think that carrier is the best thing, and they may be in certain areas.
Correct.
But they may not be in that area or for that clientele. Right. Some carriers like writing older people, some like younger people. It just depends. So you can't go based off one competitive thing either. You need to get some steam and figure out what it is.
Which I think brings up another great point, right? Our goal is direct contracts, but Access Plus never goes away. We don't really want to place business there, what I would call long term. If we're using it correctly, we're kind of writing and we're moving those policies out at renewal once we get these direct codes. But to your point, the market changes. So 3 or 4 years from now, that company that's not as competitive in your zip code today, well, maybe they're wanting to grow there now, and maybe they're a better fit then. And that Access Plus is going to provide you those eyes and ears on that marketplace so you can keep adding to that tool belt to compete with these larger agencies out there.
Yeah, I agree. So, I mean, it is kind of one of those ebb and flow type situations where somebody could start working with Access Plus for one carrier, test drive that carrier, it works perfect, let's say. They go get a code, that's great. 6 months down the road, 6 years down the road, there could be another carrier that person wants, that carrier's not given direct codes at that time. And so it may be another test drive situation to make sure it works.
It's the opportunity to constantly expand and build your relationships. And to that point, hey, maybe it's not that a carrier is not competitive. Maybe we pick up a new strategic relationship in the future, right? And those things are all valuable at that time. And I think that's the other question I get asked with Access Plus is, hey, is this a long-term thing? And no, I mean, really what we want to do is we want 95% of your business written with a direct contract, but we want to make sure we're getting you the right contracts and we're getting you the right companies. And then what we want Access Plus to be is that complement to those direct contracts to help you out in those competitive situations and those things that truthfully might fall outside of the day-to-day norm of what you do. So we're there to kind of hold your hand and assist you with stuff you might not be as familiar with.
Yeah, and so I think that's probably the last point I feel like that we should talk about is I do think there's cases where Access Plus works more like a wholesale operation and where it's, and let's pick on commercial lines here. It is one commercial lines account. There may be a specific class of business that this agent may have 5 commercial lines markets. They just don't write this, but the Access Plus carrier that we have might. Yeah. They can send it there. We write big accounts all the time, $100,000, $200,000 premium accounts, because either they're more competitive in certain cases, or the carriers that somebody has direct just doesn't fit
as well. Yeah, I mean that's kind of what I see a lot of times, right? The commercial lines or the high valued personal lines aspect of things. Those are things that not every agency, I would say, focuses on. Middle market commercial, right? And they're able to come into Access Plus. They were able to expand their offerings to those clients, but then they've got the team there in Access Plus to kind of walk them through that process, because quoting a straight pass-through BOP for a hair salon is different than a large middle market, commercial builder's account.
Absolutely.
So you've got that team there to help you and assist you, not only figuring out the market, but the process of gathering the information and actually taking that account to market effectively.
Cool. So we've hit that one-off situation. We've hit building toward those direct relationships. The relationship. I mean, that's what AccessPlus is. It's really just to help these agents grow.
It's there to help you grow, help you develop those relationships, help you get to those, and really fast track that appointment with those carriers to get direct with them. But most importantly, at the end of the day, while you're going through us, it's still your business. We're still working to get that to that direct contract for you.
Absolutely. Cool.
All right. Well, I think that covers it.
All right. Well, look, thank you for showing up, listening
Thanks
to
for
us.
taking the time, guys.
We'll be back.
Subscribe, like, all those fun things, and we'll see you again here soon.
All right. Thank you. Thanks for tuning in. You can catch our Build Your Legacy Insurance Edition podcast on YouTube, Apple Podcasts, Amazon Music, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcasts. Be sure to subscribe, leave us a review, or send us over a topic recommendation at podcast@siaofnc.com. If you're interested in learning more about what we do, visit us online at www.siaofnc.com. We hope you enjoyed our newest episode. See you next week.